And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. In today's episode, we're going to be going over some of the more recent Lightkeeper discoveries, not spoiling too much for you all, followed by some more in-depth audio issues, bugs, / etc. grievances. Then we got a video that Clean posted where he shows a free lick bug that's actually potentially really cool and suggests it become a permanent feature. Followed by, finally, a bunch of random little tidbits involving all the changes in the wipe that were not mentioned in the patch notes. Giga, how are you doing today?
Doing good. I think that's the way that the ScavTalk number 2 after the wipe has to be. It's got to be. There's so many little things, so many bits. It doesn't necessarily fit together in a nice, coherent story. But no, I'm doing good, dude. I'm doing good. Taking a little bit of a break from streaming after my 12-hour
I bet
madness. Get up at 8:30. So I managed to go to sleep after finishing everything about 8:30. I was supposed to go to bed earlier than that, but there's just stuff to do, and then slept for 4 hours, and then woke up at 12:30, midnight basically. Came down, made myself a coffee, and went live, and that was it. So we were on from 12:30. I think it was probably 20 to 1 in the end, until 1 p.m. Which was it was fun, honestly. I kind of relished the madness. You wouldn't do that normally to yourself, so to kind of be forced to do it in some ways, you just gotta, I don't know, you just gotta embrace it and enjoy it. I'm just why am I playing video games in the middle of the night to a bunch of people who aren't even watching? It's just such the most. If you try to explain it to any or normal person, they'd just be there's just so much background to try and unpack. But it was good. It was a good time. We made good progression, and I am happy to report that this week I've been having a much better time than when we last spoke, because last time I was getting absolutely slapped. And now it seems that the rest of the community is getting slapped, and I'm still getting Tarkov here and there, but it's not too bad. It's been all right. So I'm now level 24, getting on. We're doing all right. We're on to Punisher 4, Gunsmith 5. A few of those things finished Jaeger's Tremor headshots, finished Tarkov Shooter 3. So we're coming along. We're coming along, and we've had some good experiences, and Streets continues to smash me in the head every time I play that map, but that's fine. It's okay. I'm slowly getting used to it. How about yourself? What's been going on?
Pretty good, man. So I'm 14 now, almost flea, can finally clean up my stash. I was saying this earlier, I kind of been debating about not doing flea market, but then that kind of defeats the purpose of me hoarding, because I'm literally I call it brain dead looting. I just press F on everything and just hoard it, because someone out there is gonna buy my item. You know what I mean? Just why not loot it? So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of tossed and turned on that. I think I'm probably just gonna do the flea market thing, but I think it's cool because this is one of the, usually, historically anyways, I'm usually higher level than you, so now it's opposite, and I like it. It's gonna be cool. I like that, and it's probably gonna stay that way, because I'm probably just gonna limit myself to, I want to stretch this out as long as I can. I don't want to rush through, and so it's good. No, it's good though. Wipe's been going pretty good.
That's good.
Oh shoot, what was I gonna say? I can't remember. So
I was just gonna say, I think it's nice sometimes to extend it out and play a bit more chilled. I feel kind of a desire to go faster and do more, because I spent so much time I've got this constant internal battle between, I'm a YouTube main, right? So that means that I'm in this battle between any time that I'm playing, I'm live. So
right,
there's no obviously I'm managing my hideout and do crafts and stuff in the background while I'm
I get that,
making videos. But any time that I'm actually playing the game, I'm live on Twitch, and it's this constant battle between making more YouTube videos, because that's the primary focus, but then I want to be live to do more stuff and experience more content, to be able to make more videos about things that people haven't seen yet, because you're kind of getting there in the early crew. It's complicated, it's tricky, but we're getting there. I think I just end up feeling I never do enough of both. There's just not enough time. But that's fine. That's fine.
You didn't mention the other battle, which is just trying to progress and play Tarkov. That's the third battle. Yeah.
Exactly. And as I said, that one has actually been going quite well. So I'm thankful for that because I actually managed to have, I can't remember how many it was. It was like 6 or 8 raid streak without any deaths at one point,
That's really
which
good.
was pretty good. I think that might have been in the middle of the night, and people were just like, "Oh, these EU shows are awesome." I was like, "You have to remember that it is 3 in the morning."
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's got something to do with it. Just like wandering around Interchange, just like, "Hello, everybody." There's just like nobody there. Just wander in, grab a quest item, and leave. And everyone's like, "What's going on?" Like if I was wandering around like that, I'd just be clapped like 25 times. It's just like, yeah, well, 3 a.m. does hit different. It's true. It's true. So it's good, but yeah, I mean, I think the big global community thing that we were all waiting for. I mean, we can talk about the gym in a minute because the wet wall was obviously the biggest hype last week. Everyone's wanting to see what that was, although we kind of knew that it was going to be the gym. But the path to Lightkeeper has been the exciting thing that everyone's looking at, thinking, what's going to happen. And I know that there were some like leaked videos and things like that, but we have actually had some people, I say legitimately in inverted commas, because like they got there legitimately through the mechanisms with which the game provides players. Turns out that the mechanisms with which the game provides players was unintentional and was slightly buggy, which is kind of interesting. And there was a really weird thing. I don't even know how this happened. Like maybe they were testing it or something. But basically, you got this signal transmitter for failing bullshit with Skier. And that was apparently not supposed to happen, but that seems to be like the last item that you need to get to him. So like holding this thing, you could just like walk through all the claymores are turned off, so Archie won't shoot you. You walk up the tower and you meet Lightkeeper. So I think there was I can't remember his name, which is really bad, but there was some guy who did it first and then traded it afterwards with like a bunch of people watching. So that's been kind of fun because like some people have been getting over there, but it's the room's locked and you can't get in up until then. I think did we talk about Deadly last week? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think maybe we did.
We did.
I think we did. So people have actually gone to meet him, but as of now, there's not like any trades or anything. But then BSG said that that is not supposed to happen that way. It was removed from the task. Anyone who had the transmitter, it was either deleted from their inventories or it stopped working. I can't remember. It was one or the other. And then nobody really knew like we were just back to square one basically. Like there was nothing going on. And just today, I think it's either today or last night, some people have finally bumped into the final quest, and you have to complete loads of stuff, and then Mechanic gives you this quest where he says, "I'd like to meet the Lightkeeper," and it's like the first part of the path to the Lightkeeper. So there is actually there's a real quest line there, but I mean, no one's got through it properly as of yet. So we'll see how it goes from here. But that's kind of cool. I think it's interesting.
Okay, let's talk about that because I saw that as well on Twitter, and I was just like, no, I have to do all these. Like it's like Kappa all over again, man. There's so many requirements to do the task. Like the one that was like the most egregious, but it's not really that bad. Was Tarkov Shooter Part 8? Sorry, Part 8. Which again is not really that bad. It's just one of those tasks that is really frustrating the later in wipe it gets. Like you really want to get it done sooner the better. So, and it's kind of like the only reason to ever do it previously, I believe, was Kappa. Like I don't think you actually got anything noteworthy from doing the quests.
Not really, no, not really. It's just a Kappa thing.
So that was kind of like and then the other one was like I think you had to have a certain amount of scav karma. I don't know exactly how much or how less.
Yeah, so I've got the list up here. It honestly doesn't look too bad. Like compared to Kappa, it's nothing like that as far as I'm concerned. So if you don't want to be spoiled on what the quest requirements are, then don't listen to this bit. Just like skip forwards a little bit. But I mean, it's nothing. It's just a list of quests, right? It's like Punisher Part 6, Setup, House Arrest. I'm not sure what that is. Is that Streets quest or something?
Probably.
Cargo X4, Peacekeeping Mission. Like most of these I do anyway. Living High is Not a Crime Part 2, Blood of War Part 3, Huntsman Path of Razor Part 2, Tarkov Shooter Part 8, as you said. Gunsmith Part 19. This is interesting because it's like a billion gunsmiths now, which is cool. Broadcast Part 2, Decontamination Service, Drug Trafficking, and then you need Fence Standing Level 2. So you need to be Scav Karma 6 or above, basically, because you need to have Fence Level 4, max Fence Rep to do it. But it doesn't sound that bad. Like it's way more. I'd rather do this than Kappa personally. Like this is way more lenient.
Yeah, I mean for sure. Potentially, I'm not sure about some of the gunsmiths though, but maybe. But What?
Maybe
Well,
gunsmith. Like we'll get the gunsmith done, surely. I've not got that far though. I've only gotten to number 5.
yeah, but like, if you weren't going for capital, you really didn't. Like, it was good to do them, but you really didn't have to. You know what I mean?
Everybody does gunsmith though, surely. Like, I don't know anybody that doesn't do the gunsmiths because they're easy.
Yeah, but I mean, like, anyways, the second part of that is so I got to do all this stuff, and then like, what does that get me? You know, like what is the final? Because this is the thing that's still unclear to me is he just gonna be like, is he actually gonna trade me stuff? Is he actually a trader, or is he just an NPC that talks to me, you know, with some pre-written text? That's what I'm worried about, is I'm gonna spend all this time doing it for naught. That's kind of what I'm worried about. But that's why I want to just see someone else do it and be like, hey, exactly. What's gonna happen?
And we will, right? We will. We're for sure going to see somebody else do it first. I mean, the fact that somebody's unlocked all of that and got onto the first quest already, right? It's what, day 9 or 8? Like, it's insane, right? You finish all these quests, all of those quests. That's mental.
Yeah,
it's pretty mental.
I can't remember if it was Axel or Bake Easy, but someone in their community was like, because it was in a Nice Guy video, and Nice Guy was referencing it, and he said something like, the person said, yeah, they play like 18 hours a day, they grind or something. It's like, geez, he's like level 52 or something. He was like, Jesus Christ, man. Open up a stream right now. You need to be a streamer.
Yeah, exactly. I always find it funny that people who like grind super hard, but they just do it. They're like not even content creators. They just do it. It's like, whoa.
I think it's probably more common than we think, to be honest. Because even that was surprising. But then, like, when I think about my times in Rust, where I used to like literally do 18 hours, like when COVID first came, it was literally wake up, Rust, go to sleep, 6 hours, wake up, Rust. It was really bad. So it might happen more often than you think.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So then you have to basically do a signal transmitter thing for mechanic, and then like, who knows what's going to come next. You need to find all this stuff, like finding raid, like bits and pieces. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, I don't know whether, like, did you see the Trey video? Did you see like what Lightkeeper says to you? Like, do you even want to talk about it? Like,
I don't think we should. I saw some other stuff. Like, Nice Guy put a video out, and within that video, he's like, if you want to see the Lightkeeper stuff, there's a video out there where someone did
like
it.
The data mined one or something.
Yeah, like I'm assuming it was a hacker that did it, but whatever. But yeah, I don't want to like necessarily talk about what he says, because it is spoiler stuff. I think it's like spoiler stuff, but I don't know. It's whatever.
Yeah, it's like kind of, but like it's not like main storyline stuff, so I don't mind. Anyway,
well
if you want to go and look it up, you can go and look up. I think Trey's got video on his YouTube, which is him doing it. So you can go and look it up if you want to see what the Lightkeeper has to say to you if you get there through accidental means with the transmitter. Maybe it'll be different if you go through the proper quest line. I don't know. Like, maybe they just got into one of the bits of it or something. Because they weren't supposed to be there at that point. So who knows, like, exactly which section of it. Like, maybe you go back multiple times. We just don't really know yet. So we'll see. We will see. I think that's it about Lightkeeper, right? I think that's everything about that man. So then, the gym. Do you have the gym? Have you, like, where have you got to on the gym? Do you still have a leaking wall?
I need a hammer, man. I can't get it. It hasn't been like, it's just if I find it type of thing.
Yeah, I've had so many people come into my chat being like, I found the hammer, but I was playing Scav and I didn't have a backpack and I couldn't take it because it's like 2x5.
Yeah.
So it's really tough to take if you got a sling bag or you spawn with no bag. And so many people being like, and then I died like trying to find a bag. It's just like, it's brutal. I mean, I found mine. It was super, super lucky. I was playing customs and I can't remember exactly which mission I was even doing. But you know how the airdrops are just completely silent now, which basically, well, for a lot of people, they're completely silent because of the audio, which we will talk about very soon. There was an airdrop right outside Crossroads Extract, like right next to it on the floor. And I was like, hello? Is there somebody like camping somewhere? Or like, what's the deal? What's going on? I was like, well, surely this is looted. And went in, just completely full.
Yeah.
Completely full of all sorts of stuff, like loads of, I can't remember what things were in there. And a hammer was also in there, like right next to the extract. I was like, what are the chances? This is crazy. So that's how I got mine. And I haven't seen a single one since. So thank God that I found it in there. You know, like I played quite a lot and I haven't seen any otherwise. So yeah, it's been quite lucky. But yeah, so if you've got the leaky wall, then basically it's the whole, you know, you smash the wall down, then you have to do metal cutting scissors plus the toolkit thing, and then you like build the door. And there's this actually really funny bug where when you walk to the door, you get the graphic, which is switch to the gym, right? Where it says, you know, it gives you end up in the top down view where it tells you what requirements you need to build the next section. But if you turned quickly, someone in chat actually said this to me and I went to investigate it later. And if you turned quickly, the open icon appeared first. So once you've got the door built, you can actually press F as it opens, or as it goes onto the door, and the door will actually then just open and won't take you into the requirements, and you can walk around the room before it's finished. And that's where I screenshotted that there's like a dead dude in there. It's literally just like, because it's just assets that are from other places in the game.
Right.
And there's just a guy like parcels taped up in plastic bin bag in the corner, and it's just like, what the? Like, this is like, what's he doing in here? Which is why I made that post, which is quite funny. And people like Rengar being like, you know, ask questions like that, you're going to end up in there with him and stuff. Which that was pretty funny. So yeah, I mean, you're not really supposed to see that. I don't think it's just in there for. I don't know. They just pasted some stuff in there, but maybe didn't realize what that was. So you build it, and then the gym appears, and then yeah, you can just go and do reps, and it's a bit strange. And if you've got all your gear on, and your guy just like gets down, and you know, class 4 ceramic rig, and just starts pumping the iron, it's very strange.
Okay.
But yeah.
I saw the mechanic, and my instant gut reaction was like, really? This was not what I was expecting, but it's maybe not the absolute worst thing possible. Because it does kind of involve, because we've theorized about, you know, if it were us, how would we do a little like workout station, you know, or like a treadmill, like you could just level up your skills, you know, which would be kind of cool. I personally thought that like a passive system, you know, like you log off for the night, you leave your fuel on because you're gonna go throw your PMC on the treadmill overnight, and then you come back and it drains a bunch of resources, whatever that being, you know, something like this. I did not expect a mini game. That was the last thing on my list.
Yeah, it's very strange. I was saying to chat, for some reason it reminds me of like, you know, PlayStation 1 quick time events or something.
Exactly
it's like Metal Gear. You know, you get it in the torture room, you know, with Revolver Ocelot, like torture you. You gotta like press the button at the right time, whatever. It's like it's that whole era just like came back to me. And it's very weird. The weirdest part of the whole thing though, right, is that if you screw it up badly enough,
yeah,
you legit break your arm.
Well, I mean, it makes sense.
Well, does it? Like if you like you do it enough times, and your guy's just like this, right? And the weight's not even that big, and then he just goes, and it says you broke your arm, right? And if it's the first, it's so stupid. If it's the first time that you've done it, you only have like mild muscle pain or whatever.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. You actually break your arm, right? And you have to splint it up.
You have to fix it with a splint, and then you can drink some water, eat some food, and carry on. For me, that's the best part. The fact that you just splint your arm and then just carry on as if nothing happened.
Giga's lost it. And everyone expected the gym mechanics to get the Giga.
It's so funny. It's so funny because of how scuffed it is. Honestly, it's just that is so weird. I don't know why they bothered putting in the brake. It's just like it's so unnecessary. Oh god, it really made me laugh a lot.
To me, it kind of makes sense from like a very abstract RPG sense. You know, it's like, oh, you messed up the QuickTime event. You broke your arm. Now you gotta like pay a cost. Like it kind of makes sense, but I can see why it's kind of silly because it's just like split yourself up back on the. We gotta get the games. You can
go back on, right? Like I think if you break your arm, I don't think you should let you back on for a day or something.
Yeah.
Like, it would make more sense if it was just like, you know, you I don't know, you did something awful, and then you go to like zero energy and water, something like that. That would like it would even just make a bit more sense. I don't know.
But
Anyway,
then you
it
eat and
doesn't
drink
really
and get
matter.
back on anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, it doesn't really make any sense. But the one sort of like weird ramification of this
Mm-hmm.
is that if you want to do the Tremor Headshots quest
What?
for Jaeger,
Oh my god.
you can now purposefully break your own arm without having to go into break, because an arm break is much better than a leg break, but the leg break is really the only one that you can self-inflict, right? Because you have to jump off something. And
Now you can self-inflict an
now
arm
you can self-inflict an arm break, which is way better because you don't need to be on painies the whole time.
Oh
I
my
mean, you get the
gosh.
blurriness, and then you could do the Tremor Headshots quest way more easily. So now we've got this perfect mechanic to be able to break our own arms. So good, right? So
That's
good.
hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Pretty funny.
So
yeah,
there for a while it was bugged, is my understanding. Like I still don't really understand the mechanics, so maybe you can help me out. But as I understand, there's two states. There's one state that we know of for failure, which is you break your arm, and then do you get a penalty?
I don't know if you get penalty for breaking the arm specifically. I think that's just for screwing up too much. But like if you do too many reps in general, then you get like mild muscle pain, and then you eat and drink, and then you go back on, and then it gives you severe muscle pain. That's supposed to last for a day. And I think so you get like a bunch of rep first, and then, well, not rep, I shouldn't say rep. You get a bunch of points first. So I think you get like 0.9. So if you're low strength and low endurance, and you get like 0.9 every time you do a successful one. And then when you've got mild muscle pain, it's like half of that. And then when you've got severe muscle pain, it doesn't give you it anymore. And apparently, when you level up these things, when you level up strength and endurance, then you get less XP. So it starts to become less meaningful as you go up the levels, for what it's worth. But yeah, so I think like once you get severe, then it doesn't. I think you can still maybe get back on, but it like doesn't give you any XP. It just says 0. You just get 0 XP, and you just have to wait for it to go away.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, I can't find it, but I think the gains are level 0 through 10. It's 0.9, as you said, and then from 11 to 25, I want to say it's 0.6, and then 25 to 50, it's 0.3.
Yeah, I'm not above level 10 on strength endurance yet, so haven't seen that. But yeah, I think that's right, seeing the information out there.
And if I understood you correctly, you can only do it a certain amount of times before you get a debuff, and if you go even further, then the debuff gets worse. Like it's a new debuff that lasts even longer.
I think it lasts longer. I think so.
Because I thought it was.
I'm not sure.
I thought it was tied to if you failed or not, but I guess that's not.
I think so. I think that's just the arm break. But I think the deal is you just do it until you get severe and then you leave it. I think is the way it's supposed to be. Now, some people were getting stuck on severe for like 3 days, but that's a bug, another bug. Some people were getting the bug where they couldn't do it at all. Like they'd get in and it would just be like red as if they'd clicked immediately and failed like straight away. There's lots of bugs with it. Mine wasn't bugged, to be fair, and I've just taken mine to max, and then you can kind of do it like every day ish if you take it to severe and then wait. And going to severe, light and severe, they have absolutely no impact on your PMC in raid. So it's not like you've got diminished strength or like less endurance or anything like that. So you just
per day, hypothetically, with the gym, assuming you didn't fail the mini game challenge, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a second, you can get 0.9 points each day, or each one.
It's 0.9 for like each successful rep. So you can get quite a lot. I can't remember how much you can get. Maybe it's like 8 or 9.
So you could get
into it. But I mean, it's like 100, right? Like after you're level 10, strength and endurance is like 100 XP points per level. So you can get 7 or 8 maybe if you do them all correctly. And it gets quite hard. Like the thing comes in, you have to click when it's in the hexagon.
For people that haven't experienced it, describe the minigame. How does it work?
Yeah, so you've got a white hexagon that appears on the screen. So your PMC gets down and like starts to do the workout. You have a white hexagon that appears on the screen, and then there's a sort of like white hexagonal line, or like a hexagonal. Is it green? I can't remember. There's a hexagonal line that comes in from the outside, and when that is in the sort of white hexagon area, you have to click. And it goes red if you're outside of it and green if you're inside of it. So if you're either too far inside or too far outside, it goes red and it fails that rep. So every time you get it inside, it seems, I'm not sure whether it gets worse. I haven't really figured out yet, like how small it gets, but that the sort of white hexagon target area gets smaller and
Mm-hmm.
thinner for each rep. It seems. As I said, I don't know if you fail, it gets smaller faster, or if you successfully get smaller faster. I'm not really sure yet. But it starts off quite big, and it's relatively, once you've done it a few times, it's relatively easy to get the first couple. But the timing's kind of weird because it takes longer each time as your PMC gets tired. So you can't click. So you end up clicking too early the first couple of times you get it. But you have to like delay it very slightly on each one, and then it gets really, really tiny. It's very difficult to get the last couple to work. So I think it's really unlikely that anybody will get all of those points each time, but you can probably get half of them, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, I still can't get over that's a mini game, but it is what it is. I guess my next question would be, is it worth it? Like, in other words, what, like, I just kind of question its value. Like, maybe it's worth early on to do, but like, I'm just seeing a scenario where like I could spend 15 minutes in my hideout each day, leveling strength and getting, I don't know, one total point. Or no, I guess you would get more than that. Whatever, you get some points in.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure in a raid you can get like 2.2 points if you do the full running overweight for 5 minutes or what, or however.
I can't remember exactly. Yeah, so something like it's around 3 or something. I don't remember exactly. Yeah, you probably know better than me actually because you were doing all that strength.
I can't. Maybe it's 2.8, maybe it's 2.2, maybe it's 3.2. It's it's not amazing, but it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. My feelings
I
about
just kind of question that.
Twofold. Yeah, so my feelings about it are twofold. Firstly, it's very quick. So it only takes you.
Okay.
The longest part is probably the fact that you can't spawn in the gym, and like with the other modules, it's a bit like the shooting range. You have to click like enter the hideout, and you're at the door, and you have to run all the way through to the gym, open the door, and run all the way to the end. Right? That's probably like the longest bit. The workout itself it only takes like 20 seconds maybe. So if you do it every day and you're diligent about it and you're doing it well, you probably get like 2 raids worth of experience maybe each time you do it. If you get like 4 or 5 points, especially if you're under level 10, then it's kind of worthwhile. The second point, right, which I think is possibly more important, if you don't do it, you have to suffer those like XP debuffs in the hideout, which is they're actually pretty bad. Like the damaged wall XP debuff is really nasty. It's like minus 9% or something.
Yeah.
So it's really awful. So you could just tidy it up to the door, the point at which you have the door, and not build the gym because the debuffs are gone at that point. I think that's definitely worth doing. Whether the gym is worth spending the money on, I think it's very borderline. Like maybe it will add up over a whole wipe, but you're not going to see anything miraculous immediately.
Well, the money I'm not too concerned about. I was more so concerned about the time. Because like that's the thing is like when you're in raid, not only are you leveling strength, but you're leveling every other thing tied to it. Plus, you're like moving towards an objective. Like you're playing the game essentially. This is like a mini game. It's a sub game. I just kind of worried.
It's so quick though. It's so quick. Like I'm not that worried about that. Like it takes like 20 seconds, as I said. Like 10
that's
seconds
just to do
running
one
to the
rep,
stupid
though.
bench. No, but that's the whole thing. It's literally like the circle, the hexagon's there, and it's like you click, click.
Right, but you said you could do it like
click, and each one of those clicks that you get right is like 0.9, 0.9, 0.9, 0.9, 0.9.
Okay.
You get to the end, and then it's like okay, and then you get mild, and then you can like do food and water, and then you can go again. So maybe you do 2. So maybe overall it maybe takes you like 1 or 2 minutes. Let's see.
Okay, that's pretty good then. Yeah,
there's not much. It's really not much.
It's definitely worth doing that. Like if you're gonna build the hideout, which you should now because of what you just said about the leaky wall and stuff. Like in some ways, I feel like they're like maybe did we say this last cast? I don't remember, but it's like Nikita's like they want to build the hideout. These freaking streamers, I'll make them build the hideout. It's like debuffs.
Yeah, exactly. It's I can't actually remember where the. I don't have a screenshot of it now. I don't think. No, maybe I've got my own screenshot of it. Anyway, I wanted to find out what those were, those debuffs, because some of them are really bad. It's like food and water. Like the food and water ones don't really matter, but
yeah, I think it's like minus 9% EXP. It's just
one.
like
that's
kind of annoying. Like yeah, like that's annoying. Or maybe it was like 12%. It was pretty annoying.
It gets worse and worse. Like the fact that you have to play, I mean, the fact is around 10-ish. It's like you have to play 11 raids to get 10 raids worth of XP. Dude, that's quite big. By the time you get to 50 raids, you're like 5 raids behind. Yeah, it's nasty.
Yeah.
It's nasty. So I don't know whether the mop it up with the fleece, how much it helps. I know it helped at the beginning. It was like -5 when it first started, and you could mop the floor with the fleece, and it went to -3 or something. So that helped a little bit, but then it got really bad. I think it might get worse as you damage it, and then it gets better once you fix it, I think is the deal. But yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. It gives people I think the big thing is the 0.9, 1 through 10. It gives people a way to sort of catch up without having to, or like an extra way to gain strength early on, because strength is really important.
Yeah, like basically, like when you're working from home and you're in a meeting that you have to be on, but like you don't actually, your input's not actually required.
Yeah.
So, you could just sit there and click the button, whatever. Like, there's lots of work from home mechanics in Tarkov.
Maybe that's why they designed it like that, because there's been talks of a Tarkov mobile app from BSG, an official one, and it's very like mobile friendly. You tap the button and it does the thing. Giga, you do the thing. It's perfect. It fits right into mobile.
Exactly. How many people are feeling called out about work from home Tarkov? But oh yeah, and it also increases your fuel cost too with effective wall. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Your fuel cost goes up as well. So if you start cranking the hideout and you start doing wires in the workbench and all that stuff, like your fuel's going to start to run out more. And I think it gets quite big as well on that front. I think it gets up to like 20% there too, which again is like no mean feat when you have no solar or anything and you early wipe and you're only running like a couple of modules. It's like in mine, it's not like I'm running everything. It's not like we're running the water filter yet, because that's like mechanic 3, so you have to be level 30 to make that work. Not running the moonshine, I guess scav case is not part of it, but yeah, it's tricky. It's not easy.
I guess the other thing on that note is within that space of the gym, there's a lot of other open floor space there for future modules potentially. Treadmill, just saying, we get a treadmill, level up endurance, same mechanic, press space to jump, I don't know.
You got to press QWOP to move your arms and legs, otherwise you'll fall off and break your leg.
I can see the animation now. You just like, and it gets shots out by the treadmill.
Yep. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe they'll add some more stuff. I don't really know. Like they actually could. They could add other things. They could add things that are targeted the skills, I suppose.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to mention was the shooting range. Now, I don't know. I think it's maybe the highest level shooting range, but it gives you like 10% bonus to leveling your skills for your weapons or something like this. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm going to go in. I've got shooting range 1, and I haven't upgraded it after that because it looks really expensive and it's like not really that necessary. So I'll go and check it now once the game loads. I'll tell you. But yeah, there's now some extra buffs from different modules, and
yeah,
that's kind of cool. I mean, the shooting range, I've seen the other levels. I don't know them in depth, but now you have like pop-up moving targets and all sorts of cool things. And then there's like level 2 and level 3, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, we'll build it eventually, and it'll be kind of cool. I don't know whether the buff scales as well with the different level of modules. I don't really know. But yeah, there's other modules that give buffs too. There's like I think in the lavatory you get buff to
pooping.
You get the buff to the armor repair or something. I can't remember now. Yeah, so bonuses in. So once maybe it's once you've got the lavatory, then it levels off your skills or something. I'm actually not 100% sure. But my lavatory now says reduces armor repair cost using repair kits by 9%, for example. Let's see the shooting range. The shooting range doesn't say anything at the moment. Maybe only the top one does. Okay, the first one doesn't do anything for it. But maybe either the second or the third one does something.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
Yeah, I haven't quite got there yet. I've been focusing on other stuff and piling money into the hideout other ways. I've got other things to lose my money on rather than just the shooting range. But yeah, I do think that there's a buff there as well. And what did you say it was? Like a buff to leveling skills? The
Yeah, I think
like the shooting
it's
skills, like assault rifle and that stuff, or
yeah,
like maybe mastery or
I think it's one of those things. I can't say which one, if it's the mastery or if it's the you know, weapon skills like assault rifle, sniper, blah blah blah, SMG, but something like that.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Okay.
I like stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
No, it's good. It is good. We're slowly getting some extra things through the hideout. I think it's kind of fun.
One quick thing about the hideout I'll say is a lot of people are talking about crafts being missing, and from leaks I've seen, or not leaks, but people that have gotten really high up in the quest levels, there's crafts. Like I think the one I saw was from Trey, I believe. He had the cultist hunting quest. You got to turn in knives and whatever else from cultists. I don't even know. But as a reward, you get the ETX G12, basically the antidote stem. But it's like as a craft,
right.
and it's got like a little like tool and like wrench and screwdriver symbol next to it. It's like that's the recipe.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how many
indeed.
of those there actually are. It's good that they're bringing them in. I'm not sure how many there are like that. I haven't seen any yet, I don't think.
The other one that people have talked about is the LEDX. Some people have said they theorize that either it's a quest one or it's they're gonna put it in whenever they get rid of the Christmas tree. I don't know.
Yeah,
one of the two.
From everything that I've seen so far, the LEDX is like not there.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, which is kind of crazy. Because like, I'm farming and finding raid LEDX is pretty tough, and I did it the one time, but it kind of requires you to go to shoreline. I guess you could go to streets. You could use streets of Tarkov to do it, I think. But yeah, LEDX is, I mean, it's pretty rare, right? It's like the kind of the whole point. So you can spend a long time farming for a LEDX, and it's required for the thick case. So having that craft in there that you spent an inordinate amount of money on, but you knew it would get done after like 2 days of crafting or whatever, was just easy and nice. I'm still surprised that they put it in the first place.
What?
That seems like that's gone. No, the LEDX craft.
Oh. Yeah, but I mean, like, given the state Tarkov's in now, like, I'm glad it's there because LEDXs used to not be that. Like, they were rare, but they weren't that rare, like, compared to now. Now they're, like, actually rare, you know? But.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Or maybe it will maybe they will change it later and it's just like it's not there presently, but I don't know.
Well,
I'm not really sure.
I mean, it's kind of, I guess maybe we'll get into it a little bit later, but just as like a preamble, it's interesting because, like, let's say you wanted to build the med station to do the LEDX craft. Well, like, technically you did that. So it's like step one. Now, step two is to do this other quest that unlocks the recipe to do the craft in the med station 3 and you do that so you can turn in for this other quest. You know, it's just a weird kind of progression thing where it's like there's multi different steps to do it now at different steps within the progression ladder, you know. It used to be very linear. It's like you just walk up the med station crafting, well, somewhat more linear. You know, you just walk up the med station upgrade tree to 3. But now it's like you do that plus you got to do this other quest, presumably, if that's how it works, you know.
Yeah, all just to avoid finding one in raid.
Right.
Which I will probably avoid at all costs. I mean, I remember farming shoreline the time that I needed to for it, and did end up finding it, but it was. In some ways, it was kind of good. Like it made me go places I wouldn't go otherwise. Like, okay, I have to go to the LEDX spawns. Fine, so I'll like find out where they are, where people usually go, and then see if I can battle my way through Shoreline Resort, which is somewhere that I don't really like. Would be kind of nasty in this wipe. But yes, before we move on to that, the only other thing that I wanted to mention about that, because we were talking about skills before, was these light and heavy vest skills. I mean, I don't know how much you've done. Like I've got because you're not the flea yet. I've got an armor repair kit and I've got a weapon repair kit. Man, it takes forever. Like I've been, you repair armor at a relatively decent rate. I'm level 1 light vests and I'm level 0 heavy vests still. Like it takes a really long time. And you have to get to level 10 to unlock the enchanting table.
Oh, I forgot about that mechanic.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that. Dang, that is going to take a really long time.
Why is like 10 weapon maintenance or 10 light and heavy armor before you unlock the enhancements? that can happen when you repair. And the thing is, like, they disappear anyway after the first repair, so it's only useful for one specific. What will be interesting is, I think, is you don't find enough armor in raid is the problem. This is the problem. But it'll be almost interesting to see if you can like go and buy armors with specific buffs from the flea. You know, say you found like Rishala and his gang. One of them's got an arm, or they've all got armors on, and so you destroy them or like shoot them down a bit. You take them out of raid. They're fine in raid. You repair them. You get an enhancement, and then you put them on the flea. So there is actually a mechanism for buying enhanced armors off the flea market.
I see. Yeah, because you just gotta get
priced though.
Yeah, that's interesting. Dang, that's yeah. Because I remember we talked about this, and like it could be a meta. Like you find armor. Let's say you find an armor stash, and then you get your teammate quickly shoot my armor, dude. Get it down so I can enchant it and put it on the flea for like millions of rubles. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, it'd be funny. Like in a pair, just like, oh, this like it's complete. It's 100%. So I need you to shoot me once so I can like press repair. Like it doesn't even matter if the max durability decreases a bit, because if I get the minus 10% damage buff or whatever, then that's like insane.
I'm sure they're gonna patch that out some way somehow.
We'll see.
Repair now removes found in raid status on items.
Oh my god.
Well, I was gonna say I did look at the skills for light and heavy, because I remember looking at them at patch day, and something was like, I was like, this doesn't look that good. Like specifically light armor. So let me pull up the church documents here, the church files. So light, go ahead.
There's a bit of a weird buff.
Yeah. So let's go over a heavy first, because heavy is a little bit more natural, as they say. So heavy, you get, this is what they said in the patch notes. I'll read what the original patch notes said. So the first one said reduce movement speed penalty while wearing heavy armor. Okay. For light armor, it said reduce movement speed penalty while wearing light armor. And I thought to myself, like, that seems way more beneficial to heavy, because it's probably going to be a percentage. Even if it's a flat, that would be problematic for light armor. So it's probably going to be a percentage. Heavy armors reduce more movement speed. So that seems really good for heavy vests. Not so great for light vests. Okay. So back to heavy vests. What else does it do? Reduces blunt damage to body parts covered by heavy armor. Okay. That seems pretty good. Reduce wear amount when repairing, when using repair kits. So I was like, okay, that seems whatever. All right. So then you go to light armor, reduce melee damage to body parts covered by light armor. I'm like, what? That is such a like sub perk. That's like one of the perks you get for free for taking the other crappy perk. You know what I mean? It's like this perk was so bad, you're gonna get an extra perk as well that you don't want. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Reduce wear amount when using repair kits. Okay. So same thing as the heavy armor. But here's where the numbers really get interesting, because the wiki's got these updated. So for heavy armor, the speed penalty reduction at elite is 25%. For the blunt damage reduction for heavy armor at elite is 20%. And then the wear amount when using repair kits is 50% for heavy armor at elites. So normally if you repaired it and it went up to 80 out of 100, this would bump it up to 90 out of 100 with elite.
Pretty good.
Which is pretty good. But here's the actual elite skills you get for heavy. You get a chance to deflect a bullet. Yeah, I know. It doesn't say what chance. It just says chance to deflect the bullet. I'm like, okay, that seems busted. Here's another one. Chance to not apply wear during repair, 50%. So huge. If that's additive, are you telling me I could repair my broken Zabralo back to max durability? Because you get 50% for the skill, and then this extra 50 elite. I assume it's not. It's probably more like 75 or whatever the math works out to. 50 out of 50. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways.
That's interesting. You basically get a ricochet chance on your armor. Your armor gets enchanted with ricochet chance when you get to elite.
Yeah. That's
funny.
That was like, okay, that's giga busted. Back to light armors. Here's the light armors tree, the details, if you will. Speed penalty while wearing light armor, 30% at elite. And reminder, heavy was 25%. Okay, reduces melee damage, body parts, blah blah blah. 30% elite. Okay, who cares? It's a joke. Reduced wear amount when you use repair kits, 40% at elite, whereas heavy was 50%. And then the effects. Here's the like elite skills you get. Body parts covered by light armor are immune to bleeding. So do you want? Okay, here's your two options, Giga. Do you want to ricochet a bullet with your heavy armor, or do you want to not get a bleed? It's like, doesn't ricochet bullet effectively not get a bleed as well? Like, maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's just kind of my gut feeling there, right? So and then of course you get chance to not apply wear during repair 50% as well.
Yeah, those skills seem pretty crap.
Really
light
crap.
armor, yeah.
Because not only those things you got to factor, but then you think about the percentages. You know, the Zabralo, I looked up, it's 35% penalty reduction, right? With elite skill, that gets reduced down to 26.25, which is like 8.75% reduction, basically. And then I took a oh wait, I actually did the wrong value, didn't? No, I did that right. So then I did the light armor one, and I think I did a light vest at 11%, right? And that gets you 7.7%, which is a total of, that was my doorbell, 3.3% reduction. So it's like, dude, it's so, I feel like the balance between the two, again, if my math's right there, is so heavily skewed on heavy armor. Like, that's all I'm gonna do is just repair heavy armors. I'm gonna buy them from Fence, buy them, and just like use them, repair them. Because holy crap, dude, it's like so skewed on heavy right now, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I haven't actually gone through. I mean, I'll do this when when it's time to actually look at the armor guides. Like, I don't think it's quite time yet, but when it comes time to look at the armor guides, well, maybe it's time for armors 2 and 3. Actually, I've not got it on my list, but maybe I'll look at that. But I haven't gone through and categorized like what is what yet, because it says on all the armors what they are. I don't even know if the wiki's updated actually. For 2 and 3, it should be fine, but it's a bit random too. Like, what's light, what's heavy.
Yeah, so I wonder how they did that.
So it's going to matter. I mean, I wonder, now that we're talking about it, and I didn't think about this before, I wonder whether it's worth like trying to specialize in one kind of armor so that you're repairing one armor so you get to level 10 rather than like splitting it between the two. Because I might be level 2 in one of them if I'd only worn one type. So I guess you're going to wear light armor more at the beginning and then heavy at the end, I would guess. But we'll have to see. I need to go and see which ones are what. Because actually, that's going to, it's like, what armors do you want to run at the end? Like, which armors do you want to run? Like, and what are they? Like, well, which grade are they? Because this might matter, right? This might matter because you say, well, I'm going to slowly get the heavy perks or the light perks. And so if I want to specialize in one of these, eventually my end armor is going to be the ACPC. My end armor is eventually going to be the Gazelle. It's going to be the whatever, the Gen 4 like mobility. So depending on whatever your kind of like target armor is going to be at the end game, that's going to kind of determine what you want to use now so that you target that one skill to be able to reap those rewards.
That's a good point.
Like in the late wipe. And I've not really thought about that until like right now. So I'm going to have a think about that actually. Have a think about that and see what we're going to do. TTSK rig? I bet it's probably a light rig, I would imagine.
Yeah, unfortunately the wiki doesn't have, at least I can't find it. Has it not got them
on there yet?
No. But I mean, for me, given that the skills are so skewed towards heavy, it seems, I think I want to be using any heavy armor I can throughout the entire wipe. And as you said, you get kind of more access to a lot of heavy armors late wipe. Therefore, like I bet the Corund is heavy. It has to be.
Almost certainly. Certainly.
That's probably gonna be, which is kind of nuts because, well, see, I don't know if it actually would benefit the Corund that much. Because I think the Corund actually doesn't have a lot of penalties. Oh, it actually does. Minus 18%. I was wrong. I thought
it is a heavy armor, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I knew it was like physically heavy, but I didn't realize it was also movement heavy as well. That's pretty good. Yeah. So what is that? That's like, is it 25% reduction? Let's just say it's 25% reduction. I did plus, not multiply. That's like 13.5. I mean, that's like 3.5 off of a slick penalty for movement speed. That's pretty good. We were talking about this in stream earlier when I was streaming, and I was reading the light armor one about melee stuff. I'm like, oh my god, you guys, cultist meta. You wear the light armor for cultists for the melee damage reduction. Like,
yeah,
I don't know why
or like, yeah, there's the quest. There's a new quest in there where you have to melee a load of scavs.
Yeah, but like,
but then they're not going to fight back with knives. I was thinking like, oh, what could you even use it for? Like, what's the point of this melee thing? It just doesn't make
hatchet
sense.
protection, dude. For the hatchet runners out there, you now have a better chance of surviving a hatchet ambush.
Don't worry, Church. The game's in beta. They've got plans in the future which will make this relevant, and that's the reason why we don't understand, because we just don't understand the full vision.
Tagilla.
I'm going to take my 5.3% decreased get effed from Tagilla with my light armor while I get completely owned by his hammer, you know?
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I think they ran out. They didn't know what to do, so that was just what they landed on, probably. Would be my guess, but yeah, so look, I hope that gets it probably won't get changed this patch until it gets complained about on Twitter or Reddit a lot. But that's kind of my meta prediction, is we're going to be seeing a lot of heavy armors this wipe. But I could be wrong.
Probably. As I said, I'm going to have a look and see exactly what's what. You've like sent me off in the background on a wild chase to try and find information now, but because now I'm intrigued, because I was intrigued and then started to look into it and then nothing was updated and I was like, oh, I don't know now. But anyway, yeah, so for another time, but it's interesting. We'll see. I'm gonna have a look at these armors and see, because I imagine something like the Gazelle will be a light, so will the AACPC.
That's what I would think.
And then you'll have, yeah. I don't know what's the classification, whether it's just like whether it's done manually or whether it's material type combined with weight.
Right.
Because I did see Dan Exit put up some rigs where he's just like, well, this is heavier than this one. And this one's light and this one's like, it was the wrong way around kind of thing. So maybe it's like material based or something else. Don't really know. Anyway.
But
what's next?
I guess the one last thing I'll say, it's probably gonna be hard to level these. So it may not even may not be a big deal in reality, because the only way to level it is to repair it. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a non-issue.
With the kit as well. You have to repair it with the kit. You have to have the kits and use the repair. I mean, they still make sense, right? Armor repair kits are like insanely cheap. I think that when I last said they've probably gone up, but they were like 150k when I looked before, and I was like talking to chat, just going like, yes, this is the only armor that you don't want to repair with the armor kit. It's the Aramid, the module 3M, because I was using it just to do stupid quests on factory. I think I was trying to do Tarkov shooter, and I was like, you don't want to repair this with a repair kit normally, and I did the math, and I was just like, oh my god, repair kits are so cheap. You actually should even use them to repair like the module 3M. And Packer, actually, like even cheaper than Prapor. Prapor's like 3k, and the repair kit's like 2k. I was like, wow, they're so good value. So you just use them for everything. So as soon as you get to fleet, buy one of those, buy a weapon repair kit, start leveling those things up. The weapon repair kit one seems kind of silly. That's got the same deal with the whole like level 10 thing.
Yeah.
Well, what do you funny thing about 10? Those?
Oh, you can
enchant it again, yeah.
What's so funny is when reading the patch notes, because me and Aaron were reading the patch notes, I just remember this, is we kept reading it as enchant, but it says enhancement, but it's just like
I literally read it out as enchant in the video I did.
Yeah,
and then I put a note on the screen because I was like, I only noticed it in post, and I was like, I'm not re-recording that. That's quite funny. But yeah, I think what do you get? It's like decreased durability loss or something, and like maybe accuracy. I don't think there's any recoil buffs for weapons. It's pretty lackluster, but it's quite funny because you can repair a weapon as soon as it's damaged. But most of the time, it decreases the max. You go like, do I want this for the skill points? It's like 99.4 out of 100, and you're like, do I just want the skill points on this? You press like repair, and then it's like 97 out of 97. You're like, I mean, that sucks, because it decreases the maximum. So it goes back to 100, but it's like lower than the minimum previously. Do you know what I mean? But I'm like, oh, should I just get it for the skill points? Like it doesn't, like if it's 97, it still doesn't matter. So maybe I should just press it every single time. It's kind of the deal. The only other thing I haven't determined yet, because I haven't looked, is if a weapon is like 80 out of 100 and you repair it, do you get more points than one that's 99.9 and you repair it to 100? Or is it just the act of the repair that gives you the points? I don't know yet. I haven't looked into it. Something for the future.
Assuming it's the same as weapon repair kit's last swipe, it didn't matter how much you repaired. It was just like, right. So
yeah.
I think what I'm gonna do when I unlock Flea, actually I'll probably tell Arian to do this because this is a good YouTube video, is just spend a day farming rubles and just buy armors off the flea market and armor repair kits and just spend like an hour, however long it takes, leveling up the 10. Then you could do the enchantments and kind of figure out what that does. It probably won't take that long.
I don't know, man. It's like I've repaired quite a lot of rat rigs now, and I'm like halfway through level 0.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to take a while.
You're going to need a lot of stash space too.
I mean, you can sell them back, but
yeah, it's going to be tricky. We'll see.
What about just going to raid and then just have them insured and then just like run into snipers or something, and then you've just got this like constant insurance churn of armors coming back. Like every day, you've just got like thousands of like rigs and things coming in that are all damaged.
Oh, that helps with the stash space. Yeah, that helps with the stash
and you don't have to buy them again as well.
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to run out of money. So you've just got these rigs coming back and back and back. You run out into the sniper scavs.
It could work. That sounds like
because they damage the armor, and then yeah.
I love this podcast.
What stupid theory crafting? How can you min-max it to the nth degree and break the systems PSG has put in place? Exactly. This is it. We're the real beta testers, you know. We're the stress testers. That's the way. That's the way our minds work. It's not our fault. We were born like this.
All right.
Interesting stuff.
What's next on the list?
I'm torn as to whether we talk about audio now. Actually, let's talk about audio now.
Yeah,
let's talk about audio now, because we could talk about the other stuff later. Audio, I find audio quite depressing. So let's talk about that first, and then we can move on to some more uplifting topics. So I guess what's the preamble to the audio thing? Everyone thinks that audio is crap. Everyone thinks Steam audio is better. Maybe Oculus audio will be better in the future. And I'm talking about the community here. Like I'm much more balanced about it and much more kind of stoic about the whole thing. The important community update being that Veritas released an audio video. Obviously, it's not a 3-hour magnum opus, but it was the initial testing of the new system. And basically, he put this video out where you had to go through like a series of situations and decide whether you could hear the sound from the front, from the back, from above, from below, and all this kind of stuff. Did you take the test, Church?
I did not.
Test? You did not take the test. Okay, never mind. That's fine. So there were 3 sections. Section 1, I wasn't actually sure. Section 1 confused me. Apparently there were no wrong answers in that bit, and I think he played the same sound.
I did watch his follow-up video, which is what you're referencing, right?
Yeah, so he played. Maybe you can correct me because I was confused about section 1. He played the same sound for A and B and got people to guess, and it was the same. So he said is it A, is it B, or are they the same? It was kind of the thing. So everyone should have clicked they're the same because they were all the same sound.
Mm-hmm.
But some people picked A, some people picked B because they're like either going on a gut or just taking a guess. Like I didn't even realize at the beginning because I didn't realize there was a form. So I just did it myself because I thought he was going to give the answers at the end, a test or something. So I wrote it down in Notepad. Right. And so I was just picking. And by the time when I was like, oh, there's a form there, like I didn't realize that like no difference was an option. And by the time that I got to the form, I was just like, I can't be bothered to listen to it again. So I just was like A, B, B, whatever. So like none of those I put no difference for, even though like I might have if that had been an option listed at the time. I didn't really think about it. But anyway, so sections 2 and 3, I think section 2 was with binaural off. Section 3 was with binaural on. I got 6 out of 10 with binaural off, and I got 7 out of 11 with binaural on. So pretty similar. And the only thing that I would say about this is that it felt really weird on day 1, a bit like inertia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Felt really weird on day one, like unusable. And after playing however much I've played to get to level 24, whatever, it's not, it's still not perfect, but I've definitely gotten used to it to some extent. Like it's better than it was. And I think that one of the issues with the testing
Now, when you
is
say it's better than it was, you mean better than day one?
it's better than day one for me.
Okay.
And I think that's just a getting used to the new sounds kind of thing. So, and I think part of the issue with doing that kind of testing is that you don't control for the people are still getting used to it over Steam audio factor. It's hard to know if over time, say if you did it in a month, would people's results be better? Maybe it would be better. I don't actually know. So as we said before, it's a combination of like us getting used to the system, plus the system is buggy and doesn't work that well, and how much is in one camp and how much is in the other camp. I'm not really sure. Somebody actually gave a really interesting idea, which inadvertently gave me an interesting idea, which was like you almost need to take a group of players who play FPS, like people who play like Warzone, for example, and then test them on Steam Audio and then test them on Oculus Audio, in theory, and be like, which did that, like as a completely independent third party that's used to listening to that kind of thing, which system gave the better information? Because we're all used to Steam Audio, so it seems kind of unfair to test it
Yeah.
immediately against Oculus Audio. There's definitely some issues for sure with the system, but the conclusion that Veritas came to is that the binaural audio is not doing anything,
Mm-hmm.
and that it needs to be implemented. I think is the idea that he's coming across with. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. It's using up a lot of CPU. A lot of people have turned it off. I can't have it on. I thought I could have it on, but I can't have it on. It turns out it tanks my Streets frames to like half. So
Oh, how long have you been playing with it off?
ages now. It was like maybe like day
Oh,
2 or something.
did you
So I've had that
notice?
binaural off since day
Okay.
2. Yeah, I couldn't. I just
That's
couldn't play Streets with it.
probably, but you probably couldn't really, in your own words, you probably couldn't notice a difference. Like you didn't have enough time with the first, with it
Yeah,
on to really give it a fair shake, I guess, is what I'm
yeah. I
trying to
had
say.
it. I had it on. Then I had it off because I saw people having performance issues.
Yeah.
Then I had a terrible fight in the bus station on Shoreline inside the building where the dude sounded like he was in front of me, but he was actually behind me. And we died to it. And chat was like, oh, you got binaural off. Like, you really need to have it on because it really helps with front back specifically. And I was like, okay. So I turned it back on, played with it for a bit, not really sure whether it was any better or not. And then it tanked my Streets frames, and then I turned it off again. That's kind of the process that I went through. So I've had it off ever since. So I've probably been playing with it off for like 4 days.
Okay. So do you think Veritas is correct? But you don't know.
I just don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue. I just don't know. It seems to be right based on the test results. Like you would expect if binaural audio was doing like a load of stuff, if it was adding like all the things that we've talked about
Right.
before, like HRTF and the directional positioning and da 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 da, you would hope that people would be getting much
Should be,
better results from
because
it. But
the
that
Steam
doesn't seem to be the case.
results were really good. Like there wasn't
Yeah,
like any margin of error stuff. Like it was pretty clear
yeah,
that it was much better.
yeah.
So
And on the Steam audio ones, it does feel like markedly better when you listen to
yeah,
those clips because you can just tell that it's front and back. You just know. So maybe it needs to be tweaked. I'm not really sure yet. It's complicated. It's complicated. I don't know at the moment. I don't know what it's doing, but I mean it's doing a lot of something.
right. Just not anything beneficial.
Maybe not anything efficient, or maybe it's not working the right way, or something. I don't know.
I
I
don't know.
don't
The
know.
only thing I can say from my experience on like my, mind you, I've only played one raid with it on, um, and I played on Streets, which, you know, Streets is in that list that BSG put out that has the audio set up how they want it, which I think is how what they're saying is the occlusion zones are there,
Mm.
essentially. Um, but I felt like I had a hard time with front and back. And as you know, before Steam Audio came into the game, that was always the issue is you could never tell front and back up or down, right? Yeah, you had to turn your head, right? Um, Granted, like I said, I played one raid on streets. It also it kind of like how it sound, which makes sense when you think about it, is it sounded like they were inside of me. Like basically the mix was perfectly 100% right speaker, 100% left speaker. So they're like centered. But like that doesn't necessarily mean they're in front. Like that could also mean they're behind me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like if they're running and it's loud, it's like I don't know. Like you second guess yourself. You're like, oh, are they behind me? Like it's really confusing. Plus, I'm playing on a new map, so I don't have like map knowledge to go off of. Like if I hear factory, if I'm on factory and I hear like wood, it's like, oh, he's in the office or whatever. You know what I mean? Regardless of most of the times, regardless if it's like if I'm confused if it's front or back. If I just have that cue, I just kind of know instinctively, right?
Yep.
So I say all that to say, like, your experience on Shoreline, like Shoreline Woods Interchange, are like really bad, man, because you don't have any occlusion zones and the audio is just full blast, both speakers. So like you may be getting a cue, like he's running on concrete, but you can't tell left or right, and it's just like it's really bad. And have you played dorms yet? Have you been in the dorms?
Still, I've only every time I've been in dorms, no one's been in there.
No one's
So I've
been in
not
there.
actually played
Yeah.
with other people. No, like it's
Okay.
crazy. I've just been in there grabbing quest items and leaving. I've not actually fought anybody in there yet.
It's pretty wild. I mean, I think they actually did a really good job with the occlusion zones. I don't know if it's like great because here's the thing: you can actually tell where people are, like more or less. I still think vertical is a little challenging because I'm not sure how the occlusion zones work exactly. Like there's still a little bit of learning to do, but like you can hear people running up, metal stairs, opening door. Whereas previously you couldn't hear them until they were on that floor, like they were right at the door.
Yeah.
And you can even hear them if you're on the very top floor and they're running out on the grass underneath you. You can hear them. It's not like it might be slightly muffled, but it's nothing like it used to be. So it's actually, and that's why I say I don't know if it's like how they want it to be because it's kind of unrealistic that you could hear, someone basically clear as day walking outside when you're on the third floor. I don't know, but I like it because it just makes the experience kind of better. It's like I can actually hear them. You know what I mean? I don't know, but anyways, I say all that to say, I think to get a really good test, because I didn't really watch Veritas's first video. I didn't at all, but I watched the second one. And I was just kind of concerned with some of the testing. It's like I just feel like you need to do a flat plane, left or right, are probably like the best. Like X and Y axes is probably like the best test. I think if you try testing Z too much, like up and down, vertical, you start potentially running into occlusion zone issues where it's like it's occluding the sound, so it's like dampening it. So like that could, in other words, that's gonna automatically tell them that, or it will give them some information that I believe is not linked to HRTF. That's just the occlusion zones. It's separate from HRTF. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm kind of in agreement that it does nothing, but it could possibly do something. I do feel like there needs to be a little bit more testing involved to really get a solid answer. But it wouldn't surprise me if it's completely borked, seeing as it's tanking people's frames. Like,
yeah,
the logs are probably just like error HRTF, AR HRTF, and it's just like that copy pasted a million times, and the CPU is handling it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, because there's reports of this like memory leak as well that's going on. I'm not actually sure if that's related or if that's unrelated, but it does seem like everyone should really restart their game about every third or fourth raid at the very latest, because otherwise things are going to slow up and start to chug a bit. And presumably that will be fixed, but it's it's very strange. I mean, I have high hopes for this system, honestly. Like, there's certain elements to it that sound really good, and certain pieces sound decent. But I mean, just like the number of times that people have come into my chat and been like, Shoreline's audio is really bad, and the reserve audio is really bad. I'm just like, well, they said specifically that they're not done, so like, I'm not really surprised, honestly, that they.
You played Interchange? I was surprised when you said you played Interchange. I mean, I understand you did it for, stream reasons, but holy heck, dude, I played one Interchange to get a lunchbox, and I've never played so, like, I hate to use this word, ratty in my life, because it's just like literally I'm in the garage and I can't tell if the dude's running at me or above me, and it's just constant footsteps, and it's a freaking nightmare, dude. Freaking nightmare.
I don't know whether this is just me and my Interchange experience, but I feel like it's like nothing's really changed. Like, I'm running around Interchange and I'm just like, someone could be next to me or they're not, and I'm like in the car park, and I'm just like, okay, well, feels like it used to be, right? Like, I used to be in Ollie, and I'm like, there's all these shots, and I'm like, oh well, that's in the car park then, I guess, because I can't see it. It's like that used to happen on Steam Audio for me. Like, I never used to know where people were on Interchange before, so I was playing Interchange just like, actually, this kind of feels all right to me, because I'm so used to it. The expectation is like 100% scuff at all times. And it was actually okay. Like, I actually didn't really have many audio issues at all, honestly, when I played Interchange. It was funny.
Must be nice to be ignorant or oblivious.
I never gave it enough time to actually get used to the Interchange audio, so I'm just like, it just feels just as bad as normal. Yeah, just to tell that story very quickly before we move on. I was talking to Church before, and I was saying about how I've been having some internet issues. They seem to have cleared up now, but like, obviously they'd be over the the drops period and stuff. Like, I had a drop in my internet at 3 a.m. and it was just like really bad. I don't know what happened, but my upload speed just went to like complete crap. And anytime that my upload speed drops below like the streaming speed, the Twitch stream just saturates the band, and my ping on Tarkov shoots up into the sky, and I get kicked. Right, and that's basically what happened. So I had to like drop the bitrate down like to really, really, really low level, because I also didn't want to have all the people like get kicked out, right? So I was like, well, I can't. Right. People were just like, oh, just turn the stream off and then extract from the raid, and I was just like, I can't do that, man, because it's like loads of people at AFK, like waiting for drops. It's like I just can't. Like, I'd rather lose the gear and sit in the stash for however long. But it was kicking me out of the stream even at one point. So I turned the bitrate down like super low, and I was like, okay, well, basically now all I can do is play Factory and Interchange. Like, not a tree can be in sight, otherwise the whole screen's just gonna go like 4x3, like 12 pixels or whatever. It's like gonna be really, really terrible. So that's basically why I ended up playing loads of Interchange. It kind of came at the right time because I just unlocked Ragman. And so I was like, okay, let's do this. So I actually did like Blood of War and like a load of other random like quests and things from him, which is kind of cool. And I went through. I do feel a lot more confident on Interchange. I just like going around, like looting some of the stores. After we talked about like different loot runs, some of the tech stores, whatever, and like I was in there. Like, one raid, I actually managed to I killed some guy with the AK-74 with like PP rounds, the old classic pew pew pew. Got him, picked up his scar. Another dude came in, just like gave him the jump scare of his life, like got him with the scar, because the guy had like his 5.5A1 that came out of his quest and a bit of 5.6 in there. Killed him, took his shotgun, like got out of the raid. I was like, man, it feels great to actually be winning in Interchange for once. This is crazy. Like 2 wipes worth of dedicated sort of practice. That last time the 2 wipes ago, tried to do long line, got halfway through and just like couldn't do it anymore. The last wipe did actually finish long line, and then this wipe, like I'm killing people in the mall. Like, look at this. It's working. Like, it works. If you practice, it does actually work. But anyway, that's why I ended up playing so much Interchange, because it's so much easier on the encoder to stream inside.
Yeah.
It was honestly not that bad. Like, it was fine. It was actually fine. I think the 2 most egregious audio situations I've had, one, that was on Shoreline. That was the one where I had the thing off and I just could not tell which direction he was coming from, and he was behind me and killed me. The other one was I was actually in Factory, of all places, because Factory should be finished, and I was in the office corridor, and maybe I need to get used to it, but the guy sounded like he was on my level for sure. He sounded like he was on the top level, and he like sprinted down the corridor, so it sounded, I think maybe he was on the ground floor or something, I don't know, and I burst out the office corridor and pre-fired, and there was no one there. And I was like, oh, that's really random and a little bit embarrassing. And that was the two like really egregious moments. But I was like, I could have sworn the guy was outside my room. Like I had the door open and everything. That's my usual tactic, right? I stand on the safe side of the office. I keep the 2 doors open. And then as I hear someone running down the corridor from the left, I just there's nowhere for them to go. And they just get bursted in the corridor as they're running. There's like literally nothing they can do. It's a right hand for me as well. Like it's honestly, it's brutal. It's just such a brutal spot. And that's one of my favorite things. And yeah, I popped out and there was no one there. I was like, oh dear. So those are the 2 worst ones that I've had. One on an unoptimized map and one on an optimized map. I don't know.
I think there is some learning to do because I think I saw in a Veritas clip, or yeah, I think it was this clip. They like even added. We'd have to like test it, but it looks like the office itself has an occlusion zone for people outside of the room. Like they sound muffled, even though they're on the same floor, whereas previously it used to not be like that, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there are certainly some areas where, and I think I said this last time, I noticed it straight away on streets. If there's like shooting far away and there's a building in the way, it'll be muffled, and then you go into like there's an open archway, then that suddenly becomes unmuffled and stuff like that. And that works quite well at a distance. But I think at close range in sort of tight areas with lots of occlusions, I think can get a bit confusing. So we'll see.
And I think he even opened the door and then it just sounded naturally. So there's like, I don't know exactly what's handling that, if that was like handmade by BSG or if that's a part of the Oculus audio, because there is talks of, you know, sounds bouncing off surfaces and distance and whatnot, but it's interesting nonetheless. Yeah. Is that it for audio?
I think so. I mean, it's just a wait and see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if PSG put more updates out about it. I'm sure they'll make some tweaks at some point. And yeah, we just got to keep trying to get used to it and play with it. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if people get used to it eventually. And there's a lot of crying on Twitter and stuff at the moment about it. But I mean, like, you know, Christ Almighty, it's like 8 days in. You know, give it a shot. Like at this point a year ago with 12.12, people were like, the inertia is completely unplayable. I feel like I'm sailing a boat. You know, all this stuff, and like everyone felt like motion sick and stuff playing the game.
Yeah.
And then we all got used to it, and then it was fine. You know. And
then after they changed,
and then they were like, yeah, and then they were like, oh, and it's still too much. Sure, it's too much, but people could play with it. It's like we don't really like it, and then they turned it down a bit for 12.30, and everyone was like, okay, this is in a good spot now.
So everyone found the exploits too, or not the exploits, but yeah, the inertia hacks that made it a lot more bearable.
Bearable, yeah, for sure. So we'll see. What about the audio hacks, you know, to make it more bearable?
Well, I mean, it's funny because it's almost like going back to like a really shitty time in Tarkov where there was no Steam audio, the occlusion zones were non-existent. Like you can imagine like a very scuffed, you know, first time developer of a game, and it's just like you can hear people through walls clear plain as day. Like it's really weird playing woods because you hear people like through the hills. You know what I mean? Like you're actually pretty close together. If you like fly through the hills, like you draw a direct line to you and your target. But in reality, you're not that close because you got to go all the way up the hill and come all the way down the hill. You know, it's actually like a long distance you're traveling, but you're actually so close to each other. Like it's very weird because like wood, shoreline, interchange, and what labs? What's the other one? Or is that it?
Well, the optimized maps.
The unoptimized maps. Wood, shoreline, interchange, lighthouse. Like take advantage of it if you can, but you can literally hear everyone next to you through objects. It's just, yeah, use that free look. Official church 1x1 device, turn off binaural and free look. Turn your head around rapidly to figure out where they are. I don't know. Speaking of free look,
the perfect segue. I love it. I was thinking if you hadn't done it, I was going to do it.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I had it planned. Free look. There's a bug with free look. Well, okay, let's start with the good news. I guess it's both good news, depending on your perspective. They did the thing they should have done in the first place. I'm going to be a little salty here, but they put free look back in when you're ADS, because some time ago they removed it. I think it's because, we'll give you some lore here. they saw a Tulu or Pestily video of them like scoping in and then looking up because you get the zoom in effect, but you're not looking at the scope. So you can like zoom in at a distance, basically realism, immersion, and so BSG took that out. Now you couldn't free look while zooming in. And it was really frustrating for a lot of us because we were free looking while ADS and we wanted to like turn our heads to either like check a corner while like not ADSing to like not make a sound, or we wanted just to free look to get, better sound localization, whatever. So that was kind of annoying, but they added it back in, and now they did like kind of a cool compromise where when you ADS and you free look while ADS, it unzooms you, but you're still ADS'd. You're just not zoomed in, if that makes any sense. And you can free look like normally, which is great because that's kind of everything that I didn't really need the zoom in part. It really wasn't something I used that much. I think I might have like used it a little bit, but it wasn't like, get that out of the game. Great. So I think they did a cool little compromise. However, there is a cool thing, if you will, that Clean found. Giga, why don't you tell them what it is?
Yeah, so I don't know, like most of you will probably, anybody who uses free look relatively frequently will probably have found out the method of doing this by accident themselves. So it depends on what button you have it on. It depends on whether you're like a meta chat, if you've got it on middle click, because I actually changed my free look to middle mouse to try and get it to work, and I couldn't actually make it work there. But I have I haven't like slaved myself to the meta of free looking doors and jumping across. So I still have my free look on alt, which is like it's like the really old
PUBG.
like DayZ and PUBG free look.
Yeah.
So I still have it there because just forever, and I just never could be bothered to do the whole like jump free looking across things, because the reason why it doesn't, like the jump free looking stuff doesn't really work with alt,
because you have to let your hand off of your thumb.
Well, no, not even that, because like I could do jump and then alt look. Like, there's no problem with that. But if you much as move, like if you move sideways, if you strafe or anything, and you let go of alt before you let go of the strafe keys, you get stuck. Like it's like your mother always tells you, like don't do that because it's going to get stuck like that. Like that's exactly what happens. So you let go of alt, and then you're just like stuck looking sideways, and you have to like hold down alt again and like move your mouse to like get it to like unalt, because you've got another movement key held down.
Oh, that's probably because alt is a modifier key related to.
Correct.
I see.
Exactly. And so that takes over. So the unalt for free look never occurs. It's probably just like it shouldn't really happen like that, right? It doesn't happen like that in any other game. It's just because Tarkov's control system is slightly complicated and implemented probably in a slightly unsatisfactory way. I mean, it's just like many things, right? But so you can get stuck like that really easily. So you can strafe, you can like move your head side to side, you can do like the slow lean, whatever, like anything like that where you've got alt held down gets you locked into that like whatever position you put it in. But we can use this to our advantage. This is what Clean found specifically. You can use this to your advantage. So you can ADS. You can then like there's a little bit of like springiness in it. So if you alt a bit to the sides, it doesn't break it straight away, the zoom. But as soon as you alt too far, like alt free look too far away, it then pulls you back to your default field of view, and undoes the zoom basically. But what you can do is you can then recenter your screen back to the middle, and then you can press any of those modifier keys, whatever your setup is, any of those modifier keys that then like lock your free look in place, but it locks it in the center. And the interesting thing about that is that you're looking directly down your scope, and so you're now looking down the optic, but without having the FOV decrease and the implicit zoom that comes with that. And once you've got it locked there, you can actually take ADS away, put ADS back up. You can sprint, you can bring the gun back up again in ADS, and the zoom never comes back. So you can be using red dots like in your default field of view. Same thing with the scopes. You can use a voodoo, and I mean, admittedly, it makes the scope quite small on the screen, but some people really like it, right? And you can zoom in, zoom out, and there's some people get really weirded out by like when, especially at close range, when you scope in, when you ADS in, you get that zoom and an implied sensitivity change and stuff. So it depends on how your settings are set up. Some people much prefer it just to be their natural ADS, and it's cool. It kind of makes more sense too for immersion, because your eyes there, and then the weapon comes up, and it's just the optic just comes straight over your view, and that's it. I personally don't prefer it, but apparently some other games do have this in as a feature. And I don't think it's really like an advantage. It's just more of like a personal preference, because arguably the target is actually smaller, right? You're losing the zoom feature,
Yeah.
which is the unrealistic thing, and you're basically getting rid of that. So you get more peripheral vision because you still have a wider field of view, and your scope is smaller. So for me, maybe it's because I play in 1080, but like everything's just too small for me. I just don't like it. So I'd rather have the zoom there. But some people do like it, and I had a little play around with them. Like, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of fun. So you can do that, and the only issue is you're never allowed to free look ever again, because if you do, then
Right.
that's the fix, right? Free look again is the fix to that locking thing, and that breaks it and that puts it back to normal. But it's easy to put back on. I use slowly in for mine, so I just I ADS and then I slowly in slightly to the left, and then slowly and slightly back to the right, puts me back in the middle, and then I'm just in the unzoomed position for evermore until I hold Alt again for some reason. So it's kind of cool. I think it's cool. But Clean's gone about it the right way, and he's actually, he's got the BSG connections, and he's just gone to them and said, "Look, this thing is possible. It's basically a glitch, but it's a really cool feature. Could we have this in as an actual feature that you check, FOV change when ADS, or can we have that in as an actual thing, so that if people prefer it, they can have it there, and then also be able to use free look as well, which I think is a good way of going about it. Honestly, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think they should. They should. I tried it just briefly, and I think I'm kind of with you in that. I like the zoom. Um.
Yeah.
So I mean, I might be. The other part is like it's kind of annoying to like do, and as you said, you can't free look again, which I like free looking. So it's like it's a little too much complicate, like you know, annoying for me to like really give it a proper go. But if it was a setting, I would probably try as a setting. Like I could see me doing it on like one time scopes, EOTech, red dots, thing like that. I could probably like see me using it and being okay with it. But like I tried on like a PSO scope, and I was just like, ugh, I don't like
Yeah,
this.
I'm not sure if that would be good or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's someone in chat actually made a good point, so I'll address this as well. So far from the testing that I didn't do extensive testing. But from what I've checked so far, the way that the gun handles and the recoil inside the scope looks identical to me from what I tested, whether you've got it zoomed in or not, as far as I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
The scope is smaller on the screen, so
Right.
your viewpoint should jump less by measured distance on the target, but only by virtue of the fact that the target is like a third of, it's a third of the size that it was before. It's a little bit like having 75 FOV versus 60 FOV normally. Your perceived recoil at 75 FOV is less, but that's because your target is like, 2/3 of the size. So
Right.
it's a bit of a fudge because the target's harder to
Yeah.
hit in the first place because there's less pixels of them. So I don't know. Like it doesn't look any different. It's not like the gun jumped any higher. The visual recoil looked the same on a relative basis. It's just everything was just smaller. And that seemed it to be it to me. I haven't done extensive testing. It was a scuffed M4 that I got off some dude. So it had about 70 recoil. So I was like, well, this is probably good enough. We had a 60 rounder in it, and we just blasted a few shots. Seemed okay. It didn't look like the eye relief was any different either.
Yeah.
I guess like,
Which was surprising to me. I was kind of surprised the eye relief didn't change.
yeah, like
I kind of expected
technically,
it too.
I think like, yeah, I think like, well, but practically it shouldn't. Technically, I think it might have. Like, I wasn't sure whether it would or not, because the whole eye relief thing is based around
FOV, not zoom.
yeah, a lot of it's about FOV and head position. After speaking to Spectator 6 and then looking into it myself as well, I was because I looked at the AKMP rear side stuff, which was kind of where I ended up taking that knowledge from Spectator and like extending it a bit further to actually come to some conclusions there. Because the way that it's normally done in games, so I didn't realize before until I'd looked into it, was the FOV gets decreased, which increases the zoom, and then the head position is then adjusted, which is why then you get different levels of kind of eye relief and stuff on different scopes and things like that. But yeah, I was kind of surprised that it looked the same with a different FOV, but maybe it's just because the head position is adjusted accordingly. I'm not 100% sure, but it looked the same. But like the picture looked the same. Like if you took the two pictures, that would be a good test actually. You could take the two pictures and you could blow up the picture of the middle one, and then you could compare them side by side. I haven't done that. Maybe it looks different if you do that. I don't know.
Maybe you could also, and then also change FOV, Because like I think what it is, I think it's the eye release tied to the FOV. Because it's almost like your eyeballs widening or thinning. thinning. I guess is like one way to think about it. That'd be interesting if you like put your FOV, like you use the what's it called? What's the really crappy scope? The 4x. People like it though, with the circle and then the plus sign in the middle. It's not the Voodoo, it's the other one. That's like it's a 1:4. I think you can trade 2 vodkas for it. No. It's got a ring and then there's like a crosshair. No.
Oh, the TAC 30.
Yeah, TAC 30. Thank you, person in chat, whoever said that. Give him a clap.
I'll maybe try that one.
Yeah, because that one has really bad eye relief, right? So you get the FOV that has like the worst eye relief and the worst like scope combo, and then you do the freely thing and see if the eye reliefs look the same. That'd be interesting.
Be interesting. Yeah, it's worth a look. Definitely worth a look. I think it's a cool thing though.
Yeah,
I think it's a cool thing. For people who like it, like it's just there's something about. I'm not sure. Like I don't know. Maybe I just don't like it because it's different, and I don't like change. I'm resistant to change. I don't know. It's kind of cool using red dots at like literally the same field of view that you normally have.
Kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. I'd almost want it for dots and not for big scope.
Exactly. That's exactly what I would do, probably.
That's sort of my gut feeling about it.
Yeah. Now, if you could
write down.
If you could move scopes back, like if I could adjust the scope position, like basically keep my head the same, do the little bug thing, keep my head zoomed out, and then move the scope further back, then that would be great, because then you could have like the field of view, not be zoomed in, and then have the scope move back, so the scope itself, like the optic, would be bigger. So like, yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, you just reminded me of something because we were just talking about the free look key. I was struggling with the keybind actually, because I was like, I've been meaning forever to put it on middle click, but the problem that I have is middle click can't be used for anything else at all if you put free look on middle mouse. And I don't know why. I think maybe it's because it's a very special function. But what I was hoping to be able to do was to have press and hold. I think you put it as continuous normally in the Tarkov controls. Press and hold to be free look. And then that's kind of that. And then separately, you'd have like on release something else. But then doesn't happen if you free look.
Right.
That's kind of what I wanted, because I want to be able to click it to do one thing, hold it down to do something else. But you literally can't do that. Like it unbinds the other one. If you put something either on press, release, continuous, whatever, like it unbinds it when you bind free look to the mouse, which is really annoying because I have like change scope magnification as middle click. Because again, it's like all the old like throwback keys. And I'm like, I was thinking about it and I was just like, God, there's not another key that I want to put it on. Like all 4 of my mouse buttons are on things that are sort of semi-important. I guess I could have them on. There's one that's like not that bad. I've got discard on there, which like I could move, but then I've got to put it on the keyboard somewhere. And I'm like, I don't want to modify a key for like change scope magnification because that sucks. So I was like, oh God. So I've ended up just like leaving it as is because I just can't. I'm like, oh my God, I just can't think of a better control set to have that's not going to just completely gimp me in a fight when I'm just like, I just need to change the zoom. And I'm on a 6x in a Voodoo and someone's pushing me and there's like faffing about with like control and alt, right click plus have to press the power button and oh God. I don't know. It's annoying that it dominates that entire key. It's like if you're free look there, you're not having anything else on it at all. Nothing else can be on this key in any form. It's like extremely annoying. I don't know, because I want them all on my mouse. Yeah, is what it is. Still have to think about it. Go back to the drawing board. Maybe someone could give me a good idea in chat of a good key to put it on. I don't know.
Do you have side buttons on your mouse?
I do. I've got like,
Are they used for anything?
It's like change fire mode, hold breath, discard, and tactical device. Those are my 4.
I mean,
the discard is not like used in the moment. Sometimes you need to real quick, do a bit of looting,
You can put it on a keyboard
You have
key.
to go like you do them some insurance fraud. You just like run up to the guy and you just like discard the helmet, like alt click, all the. It's just like sometimes it's important, no?
You can put it on a keyboard key.
Discard.
Yeah.
Could, but
I know, change.
what am I going to put it on? Like, I don't even know what I'm going to put it on. Like,
I have mine on Z.
Z. That could work.
Do you have anything on
I
Z?
don't. I have Z unbound because I hate Z. Like my hand position makes it really hard for me to press it. So, I mean, it could work because I'll be doing something very specific. I won't be moving because I'll be the inventory.
Right.
Oh, except for throw bag. This is the only other place I have. I've got double press for throw bag.
What you really should. This is what I recommend is having a universal key, whether it's Alt or Control, but that's your modifier key, and then you basically like double your keybinds. So Z could be discard, and then Control Z can be discard backpack. Essentially, like that's how I have mine, or maybe it's Alt Z, or I think it's mouse 4 actually,
as opposed to double press.
Yeah, I don't like double press. I mean, you can get away with it, but that's just like it's. What if you accidentally double press when you meant the single press and a panic? It's got a delay. Like it's just like I don't know. It's not.
The delay's annoying. The delay is annoying. I agree.
Yeah, it's just not ideal.
Chat's saying get foot pedals, and then chat's saying get a steering wheel.
Honestly,
I gotta do like a hard lock to the right to discard like an item.
It's like off to the side. You're like, time to discard.
Yeah.
Discard again.
Discard is space plus left click. That's kind of genius. I'm not gonna lie.
Because you can't jump while you're in the inventory.
Space plus left click is actually kind of cool. That's actually not bad. And then I could have middle mouse on here, and then I could have change scope magnification where my discard is on my mouse. See, I knew someone would have a good idea. Interesting.
All right. Really quick, because we only got a couple minutes here left. We're going to close it out. So, couple of crazy, weird changes. Gunsmith gives you... Gunsmith 6 gives you rubber butt pad?
Yes.
For the AK, which is like I think Airwing's level 30 and he just did Gunsmith 6 or 7. I think he have a 6. And I was just like, huh?
Like I've just done Gunsmith 5. Gunsmith 5 is on a timer, so you can't do Gunsmith 6 until for a day. It's one of those timed quests. There's like 4 of them.
Okay.
And so I've done it, and mechanic's like, there's no more orders for today. Come back tomorrow. You have to wait 24 hours before you do Gunsmith 6. So I need to wait for that, and then I can finally do it. And I'm level 24. I'll finally be able to do it, and then buy the rubber butt pad. But it's kind of like it's a effective like nerf for all the AKs early, basically. I've been looking at this for something else. I'm going to make a video about this and have this in particular. But it's a 7 recoil point nerf for all the 545s and a 9 recoil point nerf for all the 762s. So it's a de facto early game nerf to all of the AK assault rifles.
Yeah, which means there's a huge importance on flying through the gunsmiths, but you can't fly through them because they got timed.
And they're all like ridiculous like blockages, you know. It's like Airwing's always going on about the barters, right? Like, dude, I literally could not buy the MOE handguard for Gunsmith 5. I could not get it. I've waited for the mechanic timer like 3 or 4 times, and I'm normally not one to like lose out on the reset. Normally pretty good with that. The MP5 one is actually okay now. You can get the 50 round drum like no problem. That barter, I don't know how many are actually sold, but it's like I didn't even see it available. It was literally just like, and I ended up buying one for 100k off the fleet. I just refreshed the fleet until one appeared and I bought it because I was like, I have 1.5 million. Like I'm not spending anything on the hideout until mechanic 3, which is like 6 levels away. So like the 100k now, I'm not really that bothered. Like it's fine. I'll just pay for it. So I just literally was just like refresh. And the first, I missed the first one as well. It came up for 100k. And I was like, God damn it! And like, I wasn't really paying attention. And I was just like, oh, there's one, and someone bought it already. God, refresh. Finally bought it. I was just like, God, it like makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
So there's that.
It's weird though.
Then, I mean, even the AK-100 handguard is locked behind Gunsmith 2.
Yeah, Which like okay, Gunsmith 2, that's like kind of early because this is the other question I have. The handguard butt pad, are they still on the same traders as previous wipe?
Yes.
So that means butt pads on Prapor 2, which you can get like level 15, but like you're 24, Airwing was like around 30, or maybe I'm remembering a different one. Doesn't matter. It's like you're so much more higher level getting this early game item that's like a really good item. I mean, the butt pad, for example, I think it's like 500 rubles, and it gives you 5 recoil, 1 ergo. Like it's an amazing item.
It is amazing.
So
That's
like,
probably why they did it.
yeah, but it's like, why do they do it like this though? Why not just like make the butt pad more expensive? Why not lower the stats it gives? Like, why is it? It just feels like you go up the ladder progression to then unlock a rung at the very bottom. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of weird.
Unless you're replacing stocks completely, which like maybe you would at this point. I don't know. Like I would still be running the value one because it's just ergo most of the time, right? The recoil's so good.
Yeah.
I feel like the point of it is to diversify the early game in general and not make it so that like 505 was the clear winner, because it kind of was last time. And now I think it's like maybe less so. I'm still using them, but they're not like as good, especially if you're using them like the big chunky like AKM style ones. Like they don't feel very good now. Like they don't have like they've got 10 more recoil. Like the ergo was pretty bad anyway. Like they feel quite harsh. Like PS was moved already to level 2, so it's like, oh, it's tough to use them now. And the 74s, like the SMGs feel pretty good. AK-74 is like all right, but this taken a bit of a hit. I can see it. I can see why. I can see why.
Well, it's interesting too. Gunsmith 7, I believe, unlocks the lower gas block tube for the M4 platform.
Which one?
The Mark II gas block for the M4s.
Oh right. Oh god.
Yeah,
I mean, there's another one which is like Gunsmith 1. I think is the Wyndham rail. It's got the Picatinny on it, so I think that one's like super early. So that one used to be a slightly higher level, but no one ever used it because you already had the Mark 12 or whatever it was. Yeah, the smaller gas block. Yeah, so that's really, really far. That does feel kind of redundant, I will say.
Well, I mean, it's like, it might not actually be a bad thing. It's just kind of weird. Like I said, it just feels like I'm going up the ladder, and then it gives me something like way down the traders. Like I'd like, if I was a new player, I probably would have, like, I would do the quest, see I unlocked it, probably go to my trader level and not see it there because it was on the previously lower trade level. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just I don't know, it's just weird. But here's kind of the cool thing of it. The flip side is you could it does very much like mix up the progression, because you could be a player who prioritized or got lucky or whatever on doing the gunsmiths, and now you got this really high value early game item, whereas like previously you just had to get to level 15 and have enough. Like, it's extremely linear, right? This is like non-linear with like a loop back to the beginning in a way. But like, yeah, it's a lot more difficult to get it now, essentially.
Yeah.
Which I guess is okay. Sure. It's just like, I would just almost rather them kept it at level 2 and just make it more expensive, or give it less stats, or a combination of both, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's the 5% recoil that's just that's a really big buff.
That's a huge, for literally 500 rubles. Like, it's insane value. Like,
I think it's a bit more than that now, but like, yeah, it's still like not much. It's like a few K, I think.
Yeah,
at most. It's very, very good. But I think it's just that because everybody bought it every time on everything. Like, you never saw a butt padless AK.
They were always sold out as well. The flea market would have them, which I wonder what the flea market's.
They're like 40K.
Yeah, which
I
is like
found a couple of them and sold them on the flea.
To me, that like indicates that it needs a price increase, because the market values it, 400 times than what the trader sells it for you. But whatever.
Yeah, that is also I guess that's also kind of that implies that like they're just not very likely to get in the loot pool, which is true. It's just like
What do you
one
mean?
random item. Like they're just not very likely to actually spawn. So there's not very many in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And because they go on every single AK,
Yeah,
the relative demand could be quite high for it.
I
But
see what you're
I
saying.
see what you mean. I know what you mean. It's just like, maybe put the price up because it's like, well, if you do want to eke out that extra 5% and 2 ergo, now you have to pay up for it a little bit more. And maybe it's not like worth it on like a ruble per stat cost, but if it's the only way to like improve those wooden stocks without going to another.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think is like if you take it too far, then you tip over into the point where it's just like not
Not
worth it
worth
at
it at
all. And then
all.
you just upgrade to like an RK1 or whatever they're called. What are they called? There's like the RP RK. Is it RP one? I can't remember. The two folding metal stocks, or you've got like the Zhukov, the UAS stock, and then that new one for the big AKs or for the fixed stock AKs. So you get to a point where there's a tipping point. It's like, well, I may as well just now if it's 10k, I may as well spend 12 and get like an actual stock, which gives me like way more ergo and blah blah blah. So the right price fit is probably about 8,000.
Yeah,
I would say
yeah.
personally, like maybe 8, maybe
Or
10.
drop the recoil by
Uh,
like 2, increase the
yeah,
price
make
to
it three
like
recoil, maybe 3 recoil,
yeah.
and 3 ergo. Like put a little bit of extra ergo on there or something, and then make it like 7k or 8k. I don't know, but yeah, it's a bit strange.
It
It's a
is
bit
strange.
strange.
I'm guessing
Mhm.
that it's gonna be a trend as we discover more and more of these secret changes.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, we're going to run through just like a couple of the other ones just before we finish up, if you
Sure.
want.
Spin them out.
The two that, yeah, the two that noticed so far. Actually, there's a third one that I haven't done because I'm like putting something together on it. But what first one is like the RFB has been removed from Skier 2
Oh,
for
has
cash,
it?
so you can't buy it anymore from Skier 2. It's now Skier 3 for 55k. But what has
Oh.
replaced it is a barter for the RFB at Skier 2, which is 2 gas analyzers. Now, what that's done is that has made the RFB even cheaper than it was before because gas analyzers aren't used for anything else. No one knows that it exists. And
Okay.
I saw
I
today,
see.
I bought a gas analyzer for 14,000 rubles. You could, in theory, buy, like, you can buy, if you're careful and you're on at the right time and you're picky with your prices, you can buy an RFB for like 30k.
That's
So it's like
nuts.
nearly half the price, which is funny. I'm pretty sure that gas analyzers will go to like 22 and a half at
Yeah,
some
they
point.
should
Like
increase over
they'll
time.
just meet in the middle eventually when people realize.
Yeah.
So there's that. Then another one, the 1x8, the Schmidt scope, the Schmidt and Bender 1x8, which had like the bugged one times fixed. This
Yes.
guy is probably going to become top tier, I would think.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
love
the
that
8
scope.
maybe is too big for people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But Lighthouse and a few other maps, that could be quite good.
Yep.
We'll see. I mean, that's slowly been increased. That was like 25k at the start of the wipe. And now it's like 40 when I last looked. Voodoo's
Okay.
Mace is still 60, but the gap is like it's closing.
Yeah.
And people go,
Yeah.
hang on a minute. I've seen a few Twitter posts as well of people being like, the Schmidt's fixed. Everyone's like, hey, because it's got a really lovely reticle. And I
Yeah.
tested it previously. It's so good in full auto as well. It's as good as the Voodoo and the Razor in full
It's a
auto.
great.
It's a one times. It's got a nice reticle. It's really clean. It's got an ATEX on it instead. So it's good for like streets and lighthouse. Dude, so good. And then the final one, which I didn't even write down, was I did like a crafting guide the other day just about like early crafting stuff. And
Oh.
I was talking about the Nixor lenses because they're really expensive early, but you need to be able to buy the Wi-Fi cameras. And previously you had to do that by getting to informed means armed. And then once you've got the quest, you can buy them. So I've actually literally just got to that quest and you can buy them then. There's a new barter at level 1 mechanic for a plexiglass and I think it's those electronic components, those like Lightkeeper, those new components.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're quite cheap right now because no one really knows what they're for. So for about 30k, 35k ish rubles, which is about the same price, it's a little bit cheaper than the euro price for the thingies. You can barter it from Mechanic 1. So you can actually do that craft like now and make Nixor lenses and make like huge amounts of money because A, people don't realize that the craft's there. B, no one's at Informed Means Armed, or very few people. And everyone needs like 8 Nixor lenses for security. So the lenses are like 80k, and you can craft craft this stuff for pretty cheap. It's good. It's a good one. I didn't realize that until I made the video and someone pointed out the barter. I didn't even realize it existed. So
And
that's
what was that for?
little
I already
tip.
forgot.
That was for Wi-Fi cameras.
Oh, right.
which are used as the ingredient. So you can barter for the Wi-Fi cameras, then use them as an
Because you
ingredient in
need
the workbench to craft. Because normally you need to be at the certain quest before you can buy them, and you buy them in euros from mechanic.
I think it's mechanic, yeah, or Weskier, or I don't know. One of those two.
But now you can do this barter instead, and you can do it at mechanic 1, and you can do it straight away. I think the actual workbench craft is like workbench 2, so you still need to be like level 2, or level 20 for mechanic and that kind of thing. But once you're there, you can then make Nixel lenses, and they're expensive for ages. I was crafting Nixel lenses a lot last wipe, but because they're sort of quest locked, a lot of people could. There was a supply and demand like arbitrage that opens up there because people need them who can't craft them, and there's not that many people there who can craft them because they're not at the quest yet. Because there's not that many people that are at the quest. Exactly. So that's that, which is pretty cool. And there's actually a gas analyzer barter too. There's like a chain. I was like, oh, it's a tasty chain. I think it's like CPU fans. So right now it doesn't make sense, but once people do their Bitcoin farms and stuff, CPU fans get really cheap. So maybe you can make that. I'm jumping back to the RFB now, but maybe you'll be able to like get the RFB cheap again with CPU fans, barter them for gas analyzers, then barter the gas analyzers for RFBs.
I mean, I like it when they add these things because it makes like gas analyzers a great example. They were pretty much dead loot. Like they weren't looting because they pretty much sold on the flea market for how much they vendored for most of the time. Yeah. So when they add barters to, more and more barters to these items, they kind of give them more value or crafts or whatever. So I kind of, on one hand, I kind of like when they do stuff like this. However, at the end of the day, it's just a ruble exchange. So it's like, it's kind of cool, and also kind of meh or whatever. But yep.
So yeah, lots of stuff. I'm sure more things will come out as we progress, as we move on, as we analyze, see the changes, look at the barters, get more hideout stuff. Need to get to level 30. I'd like to be level 30. I don't know if it could be. Yeah, I should get to level 30 in a week. I've got level 25 in 1 week. To be fair, I'm not going to be playing as much this next week, so we'll see. But yeah, it'd be cool to get to workbench 3. Start seeing what that entails, and I'm sure we'll have some more stuff about Lightkeeper. Someone's probably going to complete it next week.
I know. It's like, guys, I beat the game. They finally did it. You can escape from Tarkov. It's all there. Lightkeeper, everything. Yep. Yeah. I really hope, this is just, I don't know if I said this right. I'm just going to say it again. I just really hope that, this whole Lightkeeper thing you got to go through, that it's worth it, that he does something cool, like really cool, man. Like, I don't know. I just really want to like have that crazy risk reward with an in-rate trader. That's kind of like, to me, what it's all about, man. You take the loot, you risk taking the loot there, and you risk taking the loot out as well. Just like the raid in Tarkov. That's how I would love it to be. That'd be really cool if the entire game was like that with all the traders. But that's that's a crapshoot dream. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. As always, thanks for everyone tuning in. Hope your work's going well. And with that, catch you all next week.
Catch you later.